The Knicks just pulled off a huge deal to get Karl Anthony Towns, and it's especially interesting since head coach Tom Thibodeau coached Towns in Minnesota, shaping an offense that earned Cat third-team All-NBA, an All-Star nod, and the Most Improved Player award. The new starting lineup in New York will look like this, meaning Towns will go back to playing center, a position most modern basketball people thought gave his teams the biggest advantage. Now, we remember Minnie bringing in Rudy to play alongside him and shift him back to power forward, which totally didn't work the first season as they barely made the playoffs and got knocked out early with an anemic offense. However, behind an elite defense, they came roaring back the next season to get all the way to the conference finals, with Towns fitting in as an elite number 2 in support of Anthony Edwards. In 17-18, the last season completely under Tibbs, we see how Towns' possessions broke down, posting up more than any other category, and he's never gotten close to that kind of efficiency since. The Wolves didn't do anything fancy, just got his butt down on that block and threw it to him and let him go to work. He loved that jump hook over the left shoulder, and when he wasn't forcing mismatches and scoring over shorties, he'd be setting ball screens and rolling. Thibodeau had him playing an extremely traditional center role in the offense, and the team flourished as they ranked 4th overall in offensive rating and won 47 games. The past 2 seasons, Cat has seen a steep decline in post-ups, but if we look at Julius Randle's post-up frequency last year, I suspect Tibbs will make sure Towns gets a lot more opportunities on the low block. Back then, Towns did get to spot up a little bit for 3-point shots, but his 3-point attempt rate was among the lowest of his career as Tibbs hadn't realized what type of weapon they had from behind the line. With Hartenstein and the Knicks, when he trailed from the top, he'd always continue into the lane to patiently wait for the pass and unleash his patented jump hook. Now, check out Towns with Tibbs as head coach. He would trail right to the top of the circle and wasn't shy about lighting it up from downtown. It wouldn't be hard to envision Brunson coming down into a quick step-up screen, luring Towns' man into the paint, then hitting him for wide-open triples. When Hartenstein would set quick drag screens, the defense knew he wasn't a threat from the perimeter, and his man could get in the way of the ball handler. It did open up rolls into the paint for that jump hook, but these shots are inefficient and only worth 2 points. Meanwhile, Cat would set that first ball screen on the offense and step out behind the arc to get the extra point out of this action. In fact, Cat led the league in pick and pops from 3 last season, and with a dynamic guard like Brunson to collapse the defense like Edwards does here, he should get even more opportunities to light it up from downtown. Watch what happens when Hartenstein would set a pin down on the weak side. We would normally see him pop back out and then wait to hand it off to a guard going downhill. Brunson would bend the defense completely out of shape with his aggressive drives, drawing multiple defenders as Ihart would find the weak spot in the lane to receive the pass and finish strong. When Cat screens away and pops out, he's looking to shoot this every time, and the cutter's gravity should open up threes like it does here. The thing I loved most about Hartenstein's offensive game with the Knicks was his passing. They utilized him so well from the elbow that the defense simply couldn't keep up. They run Brunson to the left wing and his defender is concerned with a pass to him here, and they catch him on the wrong side as the one touch gets the easy and one at the rim. His decision making on short rolls was terrific as teams continually showed 2 defenders to Brunson and let Hartenstein control the rest of the play. Brunson will no doubt continue to draw double teams, and the question is, can Towns flash to the open spot and find cutters as well as Hartenstein does here? The answer will be a resounding yes. Towns has plenty of experience operating out of the high post and finding the very same types of passes we saw out of the Knicks offense last year. What's even more interesting is that he can space the floor even better, making these passes from farther out, which adds a degree of difficulty to them, but also makes it harder for the defense to cover enough ground to rotate and prevent these shots. I was pleasantly surprised to see how often Towns would make the right reads out of these actions, and I'll go on record as saying the Knicks will improve on last year's 7th ranked offensive rating rank. Replacing Isaiah Hartenstein with Karl Anthony Towns does one thing clearly: adds a lot more spacing to the offense. Closeouts become a lot harder and longer. Just look how scared the defense is at the prospect of an open Cat on the wing, forcing the scramble to him and opening up a lot of the one more passes to the corner for easy shots that will rack up assists. It's not always easy to see how his gravity bends the defense out of shape unless you're in the actual arena, and that's why you must get tickets using SeatGeek, the best app for finding great deals to your favorite sporting events. Just check for the green dots. They let you know the price is a great value. It's the easiest app I've ever used to get tickets, and I've got the hookup. With my code BBALL10, you'll get 10% off of every purchase you make. So act now, since this offer may not last long. Hit my link, don't worry about being called a geek, that's cool these days, and enjoy all your favorite concerts and sporting events. Save 10% with my code BBALL10, and that way you can go to the Garden and evaluate how Cat will impact the Knicks on defense. While he was an integral part of a top-rated defense last year, his on-off splits showed they were better with him on the bench at stopping their opponents. And I know that it got worse when Rudy Gobert was on the bench and Towns was out there defending. Tibbs is going to have to come up with other ways to use him in the pick and roll, since teams exploited pick and pops as his closeout exposed poor footwork that he got away with at times. I know they'll look at the way Finch was using him to hedge and recover and realize they simply can't have him defend this way. He cannot change directions well enough to keep up. There was just no reason to ask him to step up and hedge high like this, a method the NBA had gone away from years ago for good reason. I mean, sheesh. It was jarring to see how often they put him in these situations, and the Mavs were ruthless in attacking. And there are examples where he awkwardly got over there and was able to force a turnover, so it wasn't all bad. On this possession, Jokic had the open shot when Towns needed too many steps to get going in that direction, but when it comes down to defending in the paint on backdowns, he certainly can offer resistance as he stops Jokic cold and forces him into a tough fadeaway. Even if he drops, teams are going to exploit the extra space he's got to cover when they decide to hit the ball screener. And we simply cannot ignore all the evidence that he doesn't close out well. Skipping backwards isn't the most optimal method to contain, and once the defender got back in position, he needs to be recovering much quicker. Instead, he can't get there to contest the open three. The good news is that he actually has ability at defending shots around the rim. According to NBA stats, among centers playing at least 60 games, Towns was ranked 4th in limiting opponents' field goal percentage on shots inside of 6 feet from the hoop, slightly better than Rudy Gobert. And while he does get beat, he's long enough to be able to recover and offer some pressure on these shots. And Tibbs will have to hope he continues to be able to do this, but it's also clear to me that playing Cat alongside Mitchell Robinson when he's healthy will also be a lineup they will have to play a lot, or else get stuck in high-scoring back-and-forth barn burners that will most likely lead to more losses. But just be prepared, Knicks fans, for teams to go right at him, and good defenders like Bridges and Anunoby will have their hands full trying to support and cover for him. The prognosis should be very good for the Knicks. After losing Hartenstein, there was a huge hole at center they needed to fill, and being able to get Randle off the roster was addition by subtraction, as he tended to play with a cloud over his head, which had to be exhausting to his teammates, never knowing if happy or mad Randle would show up. While Towns has his own baggage, I think it will be easier to keep him positive, and thereby playing well. And with a starting five like they have, they should get somewhat deep in the playoffs. If everything goes right and they avoid devastating injuries, they could get to the conference finals.